Hey guys, what's up? Chris the Butt here, and today I'm gonna do something a little different. So, for you lovely people who have, stuck around for my, weird top 5, top 3 things, I have a tale for all of you. So, when I was in 5th grade, I really wanted friends. Now, why I needed this was, when I was in 4th grade, my school was shutting down, and all the kids from the surrounding area in my town had to move into this one weird prison-like school. Like, it was a new school. It was meant to be like this big and bright thing, but it was more like a state penitentiary. It was really weird. Anyway, I remember that there were new kids, like a bunch of new kids, because it's I think it was 2 or 3 schools were just squished together, and it was a whole new experience for me. I remember there being too many kids that it was overwhelming, at least for me at the time, when I was in grade 5. A lot of my friends that I talked to kind of just went away. I mean, I've always had John, Casey, Chad, my friend Kanisha? Yeah, so basically I did have this tight unit of friends. I really did. But there were all sorts of new people that I didn't know, and that made me feel a little intimidated. And the way that I made friends before was through art, through, being funny in class and all that. And I did try. I remember being on the playground, and I remember seeing kids doing this stupid thing. There was this dragon toy thing. It was you could climb on it. It was a climbable dragon thing. There were a bunch of guys that were just let's jump on. Okay, before I continue the story, this is what happened. This dragon had these bumps going all up and down its body, and it was these big hard balls that just kind of over and over and over again. And it was called the Ball Buster. And I remember I was like, well, all these boys are making these girls laugh. Maybe I can make some friends this way. So, let's try this. And I remember getting on top, jumping off, and I remember I made it so I jumped over it, and it was I wasn't actually touching all the bumps, and I wasn't gonna hit my macaroons. I was gonna hit my macaroons on these goddamn bumps. I just remember people weren't laughing when they were looking at me. They were just pointing at me you just jumped off the dragon. We didn't and it was more embarrassing because I was going ow, ow, ah! Just pretending I was making all sorts of noises I was actually getting hurt, and people were just looking at me what the heck is wrong with that kid? So that didn't work. I remember as soon as I got out on the playground and I saw all these new kids, I was oh my god, how am I gonna make friends? I was already weird enough. Anytime I tried to talk to people about my interests, they would just look at me I remember we were playing this game in gym class where it was you had to say something you liked, and you had to run all the way to the end of the gym. All the other kids, if they agreed that they liked it with you, they would run with you. So it'd be if someone was spaghetti, and then all the kids that like spaghetti would just run down the end of the gym. I find it really interesting. I've always been a fan of Thomas the Tank Engine, and I remember the first round that we were doing this, we were in grade 5, we were in a new school, and everybody was starting to get older, or they were trying, I don't know what was happening. It was an age where kids in grade 5, if they were playing with toys on the playground, it was he's playing with a toy. Blasphemy. Yeah, so I still like Thomas the Tank Engine at that age, and I was kind of a very oblivious, socially oblivious kid. I didn't realize when people were going, cringing at me. I didn't realize when people were looking at me I just kind of did it without thinking what other people would say. So while we were playing that game, all these kids were saying stuff sports, McDonald's! And then my turn comes around, and I'm Thomas the Tank Engine and friends. I booked it down the gym, and I thought that my footsteps were so thunderous that I thought that there was just a bunch of people behind me, and I was I got the whole Thomas the Tank Engine crew. When I reached the end of the gym, I looked back, I was smiling, but I looked back and a bunch of blank stares just staring at me like, and this one kid was like, "You really still watch Thomas?" And I was like, no. Way to lie to yourself, Chris. Lying to everybody else, too. Anyway, this is the real story. While I was thinking like, oh, how can I make friends in grade 5? I was just like, what is something that's so like, okay, so obviously these people like crazy, they don't like childish, and I assume they want something that's a bit different than, you know, a kid eating bugs or whatever. So, I remember I went to the dollar store and I picked up this like container that you put like bugs in, like spiders, grasshoppers, whatever, and you just look at them, that cruel prison that you just entrap all these organisms in. And I took one of the cruel prisons. I took one of the cool, and I brought it to school. And on the playground, on the side of the school, there was all sorts of like bugs and creepy crawlies just like chilling. So I was just like, maybe I can do something with this. So I went like all recess for like a couple days. I would just go like on the side of the building and start picking spiders with my bare hands, placing them in the thing, or taking like a piece of wood and like, you know, just something that can like a pencil, just like scrape all the spiders and just like watch them all fall into this bucket, you know, cruel prism. So I remember after 2 days of doing this, about 4 recesses in total, I was just like, what should I do with this, you know, thing of spiders? It was like filled up this literally like not halfway, about 1/4 of actually like this little pond of spiders, just all crawling together and stuff like that. And I know it's completely cruel, but I used to like think, you know, I used to justify keeping them captive by like putting grasshoppers in there, putting like whatever other bugs, box bugs I found like under my bed and stuff like that, ants. So I go to school, and at little recess I collect just a little bit more for what I was planning. So I have lunch, and then it's big recess. Big recess was like a half hour, I think. I don't remember very well. I just grade 5. But I walked out. I asked some kid, I don't know what his name was, I think it was like Mitchell or Michelle or something like that. And I was like, can you help me put on a performance? Because I had a plan. So, I wanted to be daring, crazy, spontaneous, new. I had to find a way to entertain all these kids so that they could be my friend in return. And what happened was, so anyway, I'm like laying down, there's a circle of kids around me, and I just tell Mitchell or whatever, I'm just like, pour them on me. And all the kids went, "It can't be for real. No one's crazy enough to do that." I was. So he reluctantly, but finally, pours all the spiders on me, right on my face. Just think of that, like a grade 5 size person who's also short, just spiders crawling all over me. Like the spiders were like this big on me, that's how it seemed. And they were just crawling all over me, and I remember the tingly feelings when they were like, their legs would go in my ears and up my nose, and I was constantly going, like trying to get spiders out of my nose, and I could feel them on my eyelashes, and it was like, and it was very terrifying. I think one kid threw up, and a bunch of other kids were just freaking out. A teacher came over and was like, "What the heck are you doing?" After that recess, the next couple big recesses, I would do the same thing. I would collect as many spiders as I could. And I remember I used to charge kids 25 cents to come see my show, and kids would actually pay me. I remember making $5 most of the time a day, and once $10, because everybody was watching me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, I remember I would be sitting in class afterwards, and I would always find a spider on my jeans, in my sock, in my hair. Like I would just feel a tingly feeling behind my ear. Oh, it's just another spider, and I'd just throw it on the ground. So that's how I made friends in grade 5. End of story. If you like this video, you can subscribe, like, walk an old lady across the street, do whatever you need to do to fit your butt needs. Wait, to fit your Chris the Butt needs. kind of better. Alright, anyway, take care. Goodbye. See you in the next video.